And to deliver the speech of His Excellency Otunba Engineer Gbenga Daniel is Dr. Babatunde Onodeko, FCIB FERP Chief of Staff to His Excellency Otunba Engineer Gbenga Daniel. A round of applause, please, as he comes up to give the speech on behalf of His Excellency, who isn't here but definitely sent us a well-renowned representative. Thank you so much, sir, for being here.
The day is fast spent. Permit me to just stand on the existing protocol. However, I'm a Yoruba gentleman. I need to give respect to who respect is due. Your Royal Majesty, the paramount ruler of the entire Ogun Kingdom. Alailua Oba Professor Sakama Temilola, fellow Nigeria Society of Engineers, and a staunch member of the Institute of Directors. Alailua, I recognize you, sir. Permit me to recognize the man that His Excellency asked him to join me to represent him. A former chairman of Shagamu local government, a former commissioner during the administration of His Excellency. He was not just asked to follow me or join me by accident, but because of what we are discussing today about local government. I recognize Honorable Idowu Osho. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of. As introduced, my name is Dr. Babatunde Onodeko. I'm the Chief of Staff to the former two-term governor of the state, the distinguished senator of the Federal Republic, representing the good people of Ogun East Senatorial District, His Excellency Otunba Engineer Gbenga Daniel, a fellow Nigerian Society of Engineers, a fellow Academy of Engineering, a fellow Nigerian Institute of Mechanical Engineering. It's a honor standing here in front of you to represent him. And the topic given to him to discuss about is leadership to legacy, the power of community-centered governance. Past speakers that have been had been mentioning one or two things. Number one, everybody had been talking about leadership. And while I was sitting down there, looking at what is connecting leadership and the community, personally, I said, I need to quickly come up with something. And I remembered Ronald Reagan, about 42 years or thereabout. He happens to be the 48th president of the United States of America. He said something about leadership, and I quote, "The greatest leader is not the one doing the greatest things, but the one making people to do the greatest things." And so when you look at leadership and you look at people, you connect people and the community. And that will set the tone of the presentation on behalf of His Excellency. I'm going to read what I've been asked to do, but then I need to also add my own ideas. And so I am indeed honored to be part of this presentation today. But then I also need to offer his unreserved apology. Up till about 10 o'clock yesterday night, His Excellency was still struggling to make sure that he attends this event. But um, I do not really envy him, going by the activities going on at the upper chamber of the National Assembly. So today I want to explore a paradigm of leadership that transcends traditional notions of authority and power, one that places community at its very heart. And he said, when we speak of leadership and legacy, we often think of individual achievements, of singular moments that define a leader's tenure. But I propose that true leadership, the kind that leaves an indelible mark in society, is fundamentally about nurturing and empowering communities. Consider for a moment the difference between a garden and a forest. A garden requires constant maintenance, pruning, and control from above. A forest, however, is a self-sustaining ecosystem where each element supports the others in a complex web of relationships. This is the essence of community-centered governance, creating systems that thrive not through top-down control, but through mutual support and organic growth. The traditional model of leadership often resembles that carefully manicured garden. Leaders act as gardeners, deciding what grows where, pruning what they seem unnecessary, and maintaining strict order. While this approach can produce impressive short-term results, it often fails to create lasting, sustainable change, which depends entirely on the constant presence and direction of the leader. Community-centered governance, by contrast, operates more like that of forests. It recognizes that every member of the community brings unique value, experience, and perspective. In this model, leaders become stewards rather than directors. Their primary role is to nurture the conditions that allow communities to flourish. This involves three key elements. First, creating spaces for authentic dialogue and participation. This means moving beyond taking consultation to genuine co-creation, where community members actively shape decisions that affect their lives. It means designing processes that make participation accessible and meaningful, not merely ceremonial. Second, building capacity within communities. This involves investing in education, training, and resources that enable community members to take on greater responsibilities and leadership roles. It means recognizing that leadership is not a scarce commodity to be hoarded, but an abundant one that grows stronger when shared. And lastly, fostering connectivity and collaboration. In our increasingly complex world, no single entity can address all challenges alone. Community-centered governance, therefore, creates a network of mutual support, enabling resources and knowledge to flow where they are needed. Now, much as I don't want to bore you with this presentation, I want to take it from the perspective of His Excellency Gbenga Daniel when he was the governor of Ogun State between 2003 to 2011. On the power of community-centered governance. And just like the past speakers and His Royal Majesty have said, there is need for financial autonomy for our local governments in Nigeria. There is no need to over-debate this. During his administration, there was direct allocation of resources from the JAC account of the state to the local governments. The records are there. All they do is they deduct the first line charges. And what are the first line charges? The salaries to the traditional institution, the teachers' salaries. Once those ones are removed, the administration of Otunba Gbenga Daniel release all allocations to the 20 local governments in Ogun State. And then the administration were able to do so many things. Then there was road construction, building and construction of hospitals, medical centers, on and on and on. Schools. Local government chairmen, as at that time, they were like kings. Even till today, I know of about 3 former local government chairmen in Ogun State that are still riding SUVs, bought during that time as their official cars. How the whole thing, what we have now, is history. The only thing that the administration of Otunba Gbenga Daniel did during that time was to establish a monitoring and control committee at the state level to check and recheck what the administrations of those local governments were doing then with the allocation. But after his administration, the whole thing changed till today. And so what are the results that we saw during that time? Like I said, the 20 local government administration were doing well. They were touching the grassroots. The benefits or rewards, or let me call it the usual language, the dividends of democracy were being felt, but not as we are seeing it today. On leadership to legacy, the administration of Otunba Gbenga Daniel between 2003 and 2011 conceived the idea of economic drivers, which will serve as development clusters for each of the 4 regions in Ogun State. And what are the 4 regions? We have the Remo, we have the Ijebu, we have the Yewa, and we have the Egba, which was then codenamed Riye. And so, for fast development, he conceived the idea and initiated with what we call the agro-cargo airport that was established at Ilishon. Ilishon is part of Remo, and then which the current administration is going on with the construction. He also established the Olokola Free Trade Zone within the Ijebu. He went ahead to create the Kajola Free Trade Zone within the Egba, and of course the Ogunguadon Free Trade Zone at Igbesa for the Yewa. And so through all these initiatives, he was able to touch the grassroots. In the area of education, the administration of Otunba Gbenga came up with 4 different polytechnics, and I will name them. The Gateway Polytechnic at Shaapade in Remo there. Today, that institution, that polytechnic, can compete with other key polytechnics in Nigeria today. That is number 1 for the Remo. He also established the Abraham Adesoya Polytechnic at Ijebu, which is for the Ijebus. He established the AG Otudeko Polytechnic at Igbesa, which I will assume for the Yewas. And of course, the Dauda Adegbenro Polytechnic in Itori Ewekoro for the Egbas. So during this his administration, he was able to use this cluster development to touch all the 4 corners of Ogun State, leadership at his play. The same model His Excellency Otunba Gbenga Daniel used in the area of education. Today, we have Tai Sholari University of Education. That university, I stand here with confidence, was rated as the 2nd in Nigeria today, the 8th in Africa, and I think the number 10th or thereabout in the world. Tai Sholari University of Education. I think Otunba Gbenga Daniel deserves this a round of applause. Thank you very much. The same model he used in the area of sports development. He started with the renovation of the popular MKO Abiola Stadium at Abeokuta. He went ahead to Ijebu-Ode to construct the Gateway Stadium. That Gateway Stadium, I remembered that FIFA World Cup was held at that stadium. He went ahead to establish and construct the Gateway Stadium at Shagamu. And of course, there's another one at Ilaro. The way I'm pointing at all these developments, touching the grassroots, tells you what leadership is all about. Not that alone. He created the OGEGEP, that is the Ogun State Employment Generation Agency, just like a version of the NYSC, which is the Ogun State Graduate Scheme, OGUGRAD, under which hundreds of Ogun State best talents were sponsored on scholarships for postgraduate programs in foreign universities. The whole idea that drove these initiatives was to spread development in all the zones of the state, simultaneously while creating employment and exploring the talents in every individual. Let me state that the greatest investment that any government can push through with a lasting legacy is the human capital development. In the 8 years of Otunba Gbenga Daniel's administration, he never awarded contract to any foreign firm. He was using the local contractors. This is how to touch the community. This is how to touch the grassroots. He constructed the popular Okeilewo Lalubu Road. I'm happy His Majesty is there. I'm sure, I don't think His Majesty will come out of the palace and not pass through that road in a day. That road is where I will term it as the Marina of Abeokuta. Kabiyesi. That road was constructed by Ogun State Road Management Agency, the one we know as Ogroma. It's just the initiative of the government, not a foreign contractor. That is not alone. The dualization of the Shiun, Shagamu, Abeokuta Road that I'm sure many of us here passes through was the initiative of His Excellency Otunba Gbenga Daniel. And he never used any foreign contractor. The subsequent administrators have been coming to either renovate, reconstruct, do this to what we have today. So the part of this kind of leadership begins with a shift in our mindset. Instead of asking, how can I help? How can I solve this problem? We must learn to ask, how can I help the community to solve this problem? Instead of measuring success by personal achievements, we must measure it by the growing capacity of our communities to shape their own futures. This shift becomes particularly crucial as we face increasingly complex challenges, from climate change to social inequality. As we look to the future, the question isn't whether community-centered governance will become more important. It's whether we all have the wisdom to embrace it soon enough. The challenges we face demand nothing less than a fundamental remaining of leadership that places community at the center rather than the periphery of decision making. Let me also state before I round up. Recently, we are all aware of what is going on within the local government space, that is fighting for the financial autonomy. Because without the financial autonomy, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Royal Majesty, there is no way development will touch the grassroots. There is no way development will touch the grassroots. And I'm happy to announce that His Excellency Otunba Gbenga Daniel, I'm not here to just overbloat him, was the one behind the voice that raised it on the floor of the Senate that something must be done to financial autonomy. And we must give it to the President and Commander-in-Chief, His Excellency Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, who gave it a push, and today has received the blessing of the Supreme Court. And I think yesterday I was reading somewhere online that hopefully by November there will be direct allocation going to the 774 local governments of Nigeria. I think we deserve this. So, His Excellency challenged that each of us today with these questions: how do we begin this transformation in our own sphere of influence? How can we create more spaces for authentic community participation? How can we share power in ways that build collective capacity? How can we ensure that leadership leaves legacy, not of personal achievement, but of empowered communities? Let us remember that the most powerful legacy any leader can leave behind is not what he personally achieved, but what he enabled others to achieve. Let us commit ourselves to this higher form of leadership, one that measures success not in personal power, but in community empowerment. Your Royal Majesty, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your rapt attention.